Hey everybody, insight number 3 here. So we're over in John chapter 21, and there's a beautiful account in here of them actually going back to fishing, which was their known trade. And it's often what we do when we just we want to go back to those happy moments, even if it's 3 or 4 years past, what we were changing in. We want to go back to that time. We often say as adults now, we want to go back to kindergarten and do finger painting for the day because life is so hard. So I guess that's why they did this. They were feeling, what's our direction now? What are we supposed to do? We're trying to do our best, but what's in this? And a lot of us in our human nature will want to go back to a time we felt safe, back to a time we felt secure, back to something we already know, that we don't have to think about or learn, something we already know. And that's what they were doing. They knew fishing inside out, super good at it. They just went back to that. That's where their families are. That's where they know the countryside. They know the people around them. They know who strangers are that they need to be wary of. All just makes sense to them. So beautiful doing that. So they go out fishing. And so he showed himself, in verse 1 you see, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples of the Sea of Tiberias. And on this wise he showed himself. So John makes a statement and he goes, now this is how it happened. So there was Peter, Thomas, Nathaniel, and 2 sons of Zebedee and 2 other disciples. So there's 5 or 6 of them out there. And Peter said unto them, I go a-fishing. They say unto him, we'll go with you. I'm going to go do something familiar I know how to do, just to ground and meditate on this. Wise move, Peter. Really good move. But there comes a lesson in this, is that yes, we can do that for a moment, but that's not where we're meant to spend the rest of our lives. So they went out and the ship took off, but at night they caught nothing. Remember, they went fishing at night because it was better, and during the day was not good fishing and too hot out there anyway. So the fishermen went out at night. Very dangerous profession, but they did really well at it. But morning was now come, and Jesus stood on the shore. But the disciples knew not that it was Jesus. And Jesus says to them, verse 5, have you got anything? And they said, no. And he's like, cast it on the right side and you'll find it. Here he is being unexpected again. And you think some of them would have gone, hang on a minute, this happened 3 years ago. This is very familiar. But they didn't. And cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw in for the multitude of fishes. So when they had caught all these fish, Peter, in verse 7, this is awesome, he's like, oh, it's Christ! Literally throws off his heavy coat, dives in the water, and starts swimming for shore. That's how excited he was. And I'm like, I want to be like that. I don't know how to swim that well. And I'd probably still throw myself in and be like, I know he'll let me swim. Come on, let me get there. And the other disciples came from a little ship, because they weren't far from land, because obviously they could talk to him. So they weren't terribly far from land. And they were dragging the nets because there were so many. They weren't lifting them in, they were just dragging them in. It's a lot of work to get them in. And then they have this fire and eat and everything, and it's really, really cool. And it says that this is the 3rd time that Jesus showed himself to the disciples after he was risen from the dead, and that ends in verse 14. And then we get the conversation that happens from 15 through 17, which is what we're going to cover. I just wanted to give you some background in there. It's a really great, especially for kids. Have them act it out. It's a really awesome account to get to do that. So when they had dined, they've eaten some fish, they sat there, and in a lot of artworks, this will show it as the sun going down again, indicating that they've literally spent the whole day with him, or it could be the sun rising, but either way, they've dined, they've eaten, and Jesus says to Simon Peter, son of Jonas, lovest thou more than these? And Peter says back to him, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He says, and Jesus says unto him, feed my lambs, which is sometimes recorded as sheep. So either one. Remember, we're often recorded to sheep, and not really a good thing to be called. We don't want to be called that. But if it means we have a loving shepherd and we follow him, it's okay. He saith unto them the second time, Jesus says to him the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Excuse me. Still not feeling the best. All right. Anyway, it says in the second time. And He replies, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. And he says unto him again, this time, feed my sheep. And in 17, he saith unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? And Peter at this point, because this is Peter, Simon Peter, was grieved because he said unto him the third time, Lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee. Jesus saith unto him, Feed my sheep. So it goes on to talk about that. And then we'll cover the last couple of verses there later on. But really, I love, honestly, the whole of John 21 has got highlighted in notes everywhere for me. Just, there's so much goodness in there. But having returned to familiar, safe things, which it's okay to do if we need that rest moment, going to bed in the middle of a crisis for half an hour can really clear our thoughts. Maybe we just need a good night's sleep, something to eat, rest, and we're like, okay, let us at it again. We're ready to challenge this thing head on. But we do need that. We do need that sort of safe moment, that safe place. But Christ lovingly and kindly reminds them of their callings, once again teaching in the given situation with objects around them. As in, you've brought in all this fish. I've helped you do that. I helped you do that 3 years ago and said, come and be the fishers of men with me. And you're back out here fishing actual fish. I don't mind if you take a break, and I know you've gone back to something familiar, but you have got a whole lot more to do. These are your callings. Peter, you're the head of the church on this earth right now. Go and minister. Go and do. Lead the people. You can't lead them from a fishing boat out here. I know this is your safe place. And come back here and pray. And come back here and ground. But go and minister and lead the people. So why do you think Jesus asked Peter that question 3 times, though? To feed his sheep. To get us to follow Christ, you need to know and love them. So why would you commit your life to someone you didn't love? Right? He's got to make sure. This admonition to lead and minister is the same today. If we love Christ, then the best way to show that is by loving others. So we too can take that same message. Jesus could say, do you love me? And you're like, yes, I do. Do you love me? Yes, I do. Do you love me? You know everything. You know I love you. Then go and minister. Go and help others. Because that's how we show that love back. If we really knew Christ as well as we would like to say we do, or claim that we do, then we would go and minister to others. And again, there's nothing wrong with going and centering, praying, and having that time for you. I had to yesterday. I really needed it. But that allowed me to come today and do this. I'm going to the temple tonight. I've been able to minister through the phone to a few people already today. But I wouldn't have had that strength had I not taken that rest and that grounding and that place of familiar things yesterday. But that doesn't mean I stay there. I can have my moment there and then I go forth and minister, go and do. So that's what he's teaching them. It's like, yes, you're doing great. I know you love me. And I'm just checking to make sure you know how much you love me. Because if you do, you're going to keep going, know that I'm by your side. Have your moment and keep going. So that's the little lesson there. All right, hang around. Insight number 4 is back in Matthew, and then we're going to finish up in all the stories a little bit, but mostly in the end of John here. I'll see you there.